When higher consciousness snags you repeatedly with something, they're trying to get your attention. And I kept seeing Hawaiian things and this word Ho'oponopono. So I went and I bought a book to find out more about it. I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but first of all, the word comes from the Hawaiian language. Ho'o means to make, and pono means right. So Ho'oponopono means to make rightly right, to make right. In other words, by doing this Ho'oponopono exercise, you right the greatest wrong there is, which is thinking that we're separate from each other. So reading the book, I'm not going to go into the whole history of how it cured these patients at a mental institute, but it's really fascinating how this doctor became famous for using this and healing people. But the practice is very simple. It involves saying these 4 phrases. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And you are supposed to use this phrase. Let me get out of here for a second. Anytime that you feel like somebody is wrong or has wronged you, or you see an injustice being done. And I've heard this in the past and I've thought, yeah, but that person is wrong. You know, I'm not ready to say, I'm sorry, forgive me. My human side was coming out. You know, if I got in an argument with somebody and they wronged me, why do I want to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me? And so Ho'oponopono never worked for me. But now the guides are grabbing my attention, so I'm paying attention. Well, remember I said just a few weeks ago, I went through a whole morning of feeling out of sorts. And it came from a close family member, not my husband, who was expressing some incredibly angry thoughts publicly. And the way I was raised, everything's supposed to be rosy, right? We're not supposed to get angry and make it public. So I was out of sorts about that. And I was asking the guides, how am I supposed to handle this? So teaching point there, you know, and all questions are answered better when you take them to the next level. Well, what I heard was, go back to your conversations with Joy and pick up reading where you last left off. I've been having conversations with Joy for the first 6 months of this year. I would sit in meditation, pull out my iPad and write a question and get a direct answer from Joy. And they're really high level. I'm actually putting them into a book now. Well, I had bookmarked in the 6 months where I left off working on the book, and it was February. So I asked the guides, how do I deal with this family member? They said, go back to where you left off. I go back to the February issue, and here's what I wrote on that date. If I'm aware of who I am as an expression of you, Joy, then why do I slip back into human behavior? And Joy replied, it is all patterns, little one. That is all they are. Patterns of behavior are like ruts in the road. And I said, well, how do we overcome them once and for all? Some of these patterns are not helpful. We know better, and the second they surface, we're aware of them. Please help us. And Joy replied, Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, forgive me, I love you, thank you. Now this is 6 months earlier. I didn't even remember this came up because I was in an altered state when I'm typing this. I just save it on the computer. I'm asking how to deal with my family member. Joy says, go back to where you left off 6 months ago. And there it is. Do you see the web? You see how connected we are? But what now? So Joy's telling me, you know, say to my family member, I'm sorry, forgive me. I love you. Thank you very much. I didn't feel like that at the time. I hope you can relate to this because I was seeing Ho'oponopono from the human level, this forgiveness technique. I'm not here to teach you all about Ho'oponopono. I'm just here to show you how our point of view changes everything, although this is a very powerful practice. And Joy said, What these 4 phrases are saying is, forgive me for ever thinking you and I were anything less than love. And that's a phrase that Joy has told me over and over throughout the years. And that immediately takes us to this connection, this knowing who we are. I want to show you a picture, and I'm going to show you some more slides here, and I'm going to take you all through an exercise. So here are the 4 phrases. Here's a picture that I took on the trail today, which is just this beautiful flower, an example of how nature reflects to us. The sphere is always the symbol of oneness. And this to me, it looks like a web. And it looks to me like sacred geometry and the matrix, all these little filaments that connect all of us. Each of us would be a little dot on these lines connecting all of us. And this is what Ho'oponopono is about. It's about understanding we're all one. And when anybody else in the web does something that bothers us, at some point in our life, we've done that too. We've done that too. So from there followed a whole bunch of insights about how to find peace. But I wanted to run, where does this come up here? Hang on a second. I want to run you all through the Ho'opono exercise the way Joy is showing it to me. This is a beautiful piece of sacred geometry showing the web, done by a new friend of mine who's with us tonight named Endre Balog. He's an incredible, gifted, professional violinist, but he does all of these beautiful drawings in sacred geometry. In fact, look at my iPad case. It's one of his pieces of artwork with the Merkaba on it. He sent me this one recently by email. I was meditating in the morning, thinking about all this teaching from Joy, and I noticed that when I pulled up my iPad to type the latest message, there was an email from him. I didn't want to open it in the middle of meditation, and Joy said, open it now. And this is the piece of artwork that was in there. I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm trying to find this thing. Here we are. I want to guide all of you now as we look at the screen and look at this web to get into an expanded state. And I'm going to talk you through the Ho'oponopono exercise so you get a feel for how we can shift points of view instantly through intention. I'd like you to bring to mind somebody in your family or a loved one or a friend who has perhaps angered you or put you off balance at some point, okay? So just have that in mind, have a particular person and situation in mind, and you can always get in an altered state of consciousness even with your eyes open. So stare at the middle, excuse me, of that drawing there. That light in the center reminds me of Source, of the one light that spreads outwards and manifests as so many different expressions of itself. This whole drawing represents to me the field and all of the many manifestations that can bubble up. But look how they're all connected. Take a nice deep breath, and just as you're staring at that light in the middle, exhale and just release that. And we're going to bring to mind this person who we feel has wronged us or is wrong, and realize that that is just one little node in this grid of who we are at the human level. But let's move our awareness to the heart as we look at the wholeness of this picture. Don't focus on one little part, but take in the whole picture. It may even just start pulsing as you look at it. And the 4 phrases are, I'm sorry, forgive me, I love you, and thank you. Now listen to these phrases from the soul's perspective as you just focus with love in your heart on this drawing. I'm sorry for judging you for being the way you are. Please forgive me for the times I've been the same way and for still holding that energy in the field. I see how in doing so, I'm allowing the energy to remain because we are all connected. All there is unity and this connection. Even when I'm having my own unique experience as an expression of the one central light, I love you, the part of you that is connected to me and all that is in this grand web of experience. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to see differently. And you can see how you can run through the 4 phrases with any situation and any person, and it's completely different than seeing things at the human level. So you can just